Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby Round 7 results weekend wrap. Mark, I think the thing that's taking the news is the coronavirus, or what's the correct terminology for it?
COVID-19?
COVID-19, yeah.
Yeah, so it's round 7. It could be the last round at this stage.
Yeah.
We don't know. We hope that kind of some of the season is salvaged. Perfect round for James. You just got the one run, and I don't know how the Chiefs actually lost that game. 24-14 up with 10 minutes to go and a man up, and they lost 27-24. And then obviously I overhyped the Stormers. I kind of gave them too much credit and they took a beating on the weekend. I thought the 10-point differential flattered the Stormers. Serious questions, and really the break can't come soon enough for Dobbo and the boys. But kudos, all credit to the Sharks. I thought they were outstanding and comfortably dominated the Stormers.
Yeah.
At the moment, without a doubt, the best team in South Africa and top 2 team in the competition.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the only team that to me is on par with the Sharks is the Crusaders.
Without a doubt, in terms of consistency and the balance that they've got to their side.
So you say that, you're saying that the competition's coming, the break in the competition's coming at a perfect time for the Stormers and probably the worst time for the Sharks.
Yeah, because I mean, they were on such a high, they're playing such great rugby. They would have entertained the likes of the Chiefs now, and you would have backed them to beat the Chiefs. And that's a good win to get against one of the tournament contenders. As people say, who knows where this virus is going to end, so any sports match pales in comparison. But if we keep it strictly down to the first 7 rounds and the way the season has unfolded, just fantastic effort from the Sharks. Every week people and I was one of them, the jury's out, are they really that good? Are they really that good? They haven't really played a pack, and they played the Jaguars and they pumped them. They played the Stormers. I spoke to Dobbo pre the game. He said, well, he felt that the Stormers had one of the best set pieces, Sharks one of the worst. Well, if I looked at that game, Stormers had one of the worst, Sharks one of the more balanced, And the Stormers looked rudderless and clueless. Again, you look at the leadership. Is Stephen Kitsoff the right guy to captain the team?
He was when they were 4-0.
They got serious problems though at their discipline and their attitude. And I just think if I looked at the way the Sharks have played all year, there's been this joy and the sense of freedom, but also a huge honesty from the coaching staff to the team. And especially with Kerwin Bosch, you are my 10, you will start regardless. No mind games being played. Has been outstanding as a leader.
Are you saying Dobbo's playing mind games?
No, I'm not saying he's playing mind games, but there's the uncertainty. It's like either you back Willemse to go straight through every game, and this is his tuition year. Yeah. Then he's 15. Yeah. Then it's who's playing it in the loose forwards, and it's. I'm not saying it's only mind games, but they started the season with a very good squad, and they've lost 4 big name players.
Of course they have, yeah.
But other teams also lose big name players, so we thought that
as big though, Mark.
Not as big in the context of a starting pack, but I did think there was far more depth to the Stormer side than it's been shown out. And Willem said 10, which were thought to be one of their strengths, has turned out to be one of their weaknesses. I'm not convinced that Jamie Roberts he's been okay without being amazingly impactful. And you just get the sense with that pack, you expected them to dominate a lot more than they have. And they progressively just got poorer. With the perfect draw, and where the Sharks, I just feel that graph keeps on going up and has kept on going up. And the only game they lost on tour was one we expected them to beat, was the Hurricanes. But the game unfolded to a way that pretty much suited the Hurricane style of play. So but I just thought at one stage when the Stormers were still ahead, it's like a 10-7 at halftime. I thought, how were the Stormers only 3 points off the pace? It was a 14-15 point game. And then they went ahead, and it was only a late try by Mpimpi that kind of gave the 10-point buffer. But they were convincingly the better side. When you looked at the game, they looked in control of it. They looked composed, and you just looked like the Stormers were just hanging in there.
Yeah, I hope that Bruce Pockenpel is looking, Pockenpol, whatever.
Bruce?
Sorry, Bruce?
When you take a beating, you got to take it on the chin. And my Stormers took a beating.
They sure did. Let's talk about what's going to happen. I mean, you seem to have a lot of insight into rugby, Mark, despite what everybody else says out there. I still back you. What's going to happen with the schedule, with this year's competition?
I think everyone's in uncharted territory, not just in rugby and sport, but in the world. I mean, it's crazy times, and people saying the world has gone mad, but we don't actually know You're looking at your own business in terms of who works from home, who comes to the office. I've come from other offices this morning. People saying maybe it's not as big, but if it is, are you going to be the one that then it takes the blame for underestimating it? But the way the world has reacted to everything, it's been this massive shutdown. It's if mass gatherings are the cause of it, and that can stifle or limit the virus, then let's do it. And the sense you get that I get from everything I've read when it comes to the major sporting codes in the world is they're going to give it a cutoff time, which will be between now and probably May. And if they then don't have any more clarity, they will declare these seasons null and void and basically write it off and prepare for the next season. There's been a lot of talk, I know we're a rugger show, but that Liverpool may not be anointed champions if there's no form of clarity, and it'll be null and void. Although the English Premier League bosses have said that they will look to delay next season's start and try and finish this one between September and October. And I can tell you how Liverpool will play the remaining games in 1 week to just try and get their 1 or 2 wins. But I know the Premier League in the English Premier League rugby, the Premiership, they're off till May. It's indefinite with SANZAR. And Australia also on every level it's indefinite, and
no one cares about.
No one does care except the Brumbies at this stage. But yeah, it's just top 14s off. The European Championships put on hold at the moment, and I think once they're the wiser as to, and everyone seems to think it's this 2-week period now, because China and then Italy was 2 weeks ahead of the rest of the world, and how does the virus spike and the infections, and then what's the conversion rate? So I would say by...
You mean conversion, death to
serious infection, and because the conversion rate at the moment, full recovery is set 96, 97%.
It's higher if you're younger.
Yeah, so, a lot higher.
So I mean, I'm basically a dead man walking.
At this stage, I mean, you don't look your age, so... But
38.
38, I was going to say, you're still safe. Another 2 years, you could have been in trouble. But,
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's just... I think, and I wrote a column for the Cape Times on Friday to say, and the base of that column was, it's either a blanket stop everything, but you can't be selective.
Yeah.
Stop that one. That one's behind closed doors. That one has 70,000. That one won't get played. And more since that column, and it's not because of the column, because it was just common sense.
No one read it.
It's just common sense. And Jean, you can put that column big post up in the back. Yeah. It's common sense that they would just have to shut it down, and people have to be disciplined. If you look at the Paris Saint-Germain game against Dortmund, so they played behind closed doors, 20 or 30,000 people arrived outside the stadium to cheer on the teams. And it's this whole thing of the infection rate, and not necessarily the seriousness of the infection, but you had the NBA player who they said, please don't touch any of the mics because we don't know where the journalists have been. We don't know, some of them have come from different countries. He started tapping on the mic, taking the piss out of it, and he's tested positive the next day. And he was the start of the NBA kind of being shut down. So you got Costa walking out after the Atletico Madrid Liverpool game and coughing over journalists at the side and mocking them. So he's taken a beating in the media because of his disregard for it and kind of lack of discipline. And I think
I mean, the way you coughed over me. A lot of people, I did cough over you. A lot of people use humor when all else fails. When they don't have a clue when they hear. I do believe this thing is a bit overblown through social media. Everybody in the world has a voice now, and it's pretty noisy. You can't actually hear what you need to hear, meaning that not the experts are speaking. So everybody's got an opinion on it, and everybody's got, listening to our staff talking there, people talking about masks, how ineffective they are, how effective they are. There's a lot of misinformation out there, Mark.
No, plenty, and
this is a heavier strain of flu than a flu.
Well, if you take in terms of mass hysteria and social media, this year on social media, HIV/AIDS has had 23.2 million mentions.
Yeah.
In the last 2.5 weeks. 1.3 billion mentions for the coronavirus.
I bet you it'll double in the next week.
So there is that mass hysteria and there is that misinformation, and people are now operating on fear as well.
Yeah.
Because a week ago it was, if the virus hits South Africa, for example, why would it hit? Who's coming in to basically give it to us? And then you've got 6 cases become 16, become 61, still no deaths, but it's now.
But that's in a population of 50 million. You're talking about 64 cases. I think I stand to be corrected, but 64 cases out of 50 million people.
Well, you've also got, in terms of just pure data, you've got 7 odd billion people in the world,
Yeah.
and you've had 160,000 cases reported, and you've had 3,000 deaths. So, and of those 3,000, 90% of them have been at a certain age.
You mean old people?
Old people,
Yeah.
like 70 plus, and a lot of those old people who have had emphysema, diabetes, cancer,
Yeah.
their
Immune system
is down.
Yeah.
So I
Look,
think we
we're
need
not
to keep
doctors.
context here.
So let's get back to rugby for a second. Sorry.
Sorry, Dobber thought we were talking about the Stormers' performance for them for a moment.
Okay, well let's look at the play for the Quokka Smith. There was a controversial yellow card that was given. You must know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
Okay.
So what controversial play are we talking about?
We're talking about the opening kickoff between.
Oh no, you mean the toy?
Yeah, so you do know.
Yeah, no, but you said Quokka Smith.
No, okay.
Oh my
what
God,
I'm saying,
you injured the Japanese division.
let's look at the.
Straight red card. He should have been gone.
Okay, but Nick Mallet, the esteemed.
Well, Nick loves Dobber and he loves the Stormers.
He does.
So he would have said yellow, but Dobber
Well, let's
said.
have a look at it. Let's have a look at the toy incident.
No, straight.
Okay,
up.
so now we'll have a. So that. What do you think of that?
Straight red card. It's reckless. It's potentially malicious, but it doesn't even have to be malicious. He lands on his head. He's potentially dead. The fact that where he lands should have no bearing on it. He's been playing. The law interpretation is he gets taken out in the air, and it's a dangerous and reckless tackle. It's like I punch you, and they say, well, he doesn't really punch hard. It's a week. The other guy punches me, and they say it's 8 weeks. Or if he tickles my balls, it's 10 weeks, according to Joe Marler now.
Yeah.
So to me, it shouldn't be.
That's an awful small tickle.
Yeah. Who's the referee to determine the kind of potency of the punch or the potency of the fall?
Well, let's have a look at Quokka Smith's one.
It's a bit of a tough one. There's momentum coming.
Well, momentum means nothing, It's about protecting the player in the air.
He had to pull out of that. He didn't even leave the ground. Well, not leaving the ground, he had to protect Javier. Regardless of whether it's accidental or contact or not, that's his responsibility to make sure that and this result doesn't happen. Look how close that is to him landing on his neck. Incredibly dangerous.
Okay, so as you can see, they're identical to me. The only difference being that Steph du Toit probably got knocked out before he finished his tackle.
I actually think that the opening one from Johan du Toit is far worse than the Quokka Smith one. The Quokka Smith one was kind of a 50-50 call, where this one, he's just taken the guy out absolutely recklessly in the opening kick of the game.
Yeah, look, to me, they're identical. I mean, in terms of where they landed, the danger. So it should be in a red card. Nick, you were wrong.
I can tell you now, if that was a Bulls player,
Nick
would have said, how's it justified that he's still on the field? So, and Dobber said it afterwards, Dobber said, look, I thought as the coach it was a yellow card, but if he had given a red, I would have had no complaints.
Yeah.
It was an outrageous act in the opening minute of the game.
Yeah.
And it set the tone, and just in terms of that discipline, and yes, they may have been fired up, but then they kind of misdirecting that fired up energy.
And this is where I think that Sanzar and rugby just miles behind. Because there's been this controversy since the red-yellow card's been introduced. It happened in the Wales game, when we lost to them in the semi-finals in 2011. It's happened last World Cup. It's happened in the Super Rugby Championship. It's happened again. Why don't they just send someone off, and then you can replace them after 10 minutes? Give them the yellow card, send them off with an orange card if you want, and that means you can replace the guy after 10 minutes for serving a penalty.
Look, I just think it's the inconsistency all round, and then not only by the referees and the TMOs, but then by the judiciaries. Yeah. So you look at that punch from the French guy on that Scottish guy. It was a serious punch. It should have been 12 weeks. He got 3 weeks. With the greatest respect to what happened between Marler and Wyn Jones, I would have understood if it had been at the bottom of the ruck and there was malice and he had gone in and he had groped his testicles or rucked them or...
Oh, let's not say grope. I mean, it was hardly a grope.
No, but
More
I'm
of a
saying if he
more
had
of a
done
grape.
that, if he had done that, I would understand that. That was a joke gone badly wrong, and it was
Yeah.
a tiggle. He should have got 2 weeks or 3 weeks. To give him 10 weeks, on the same day you give that guy 3 weeks for a punch is absurd.
What I find absurd is Alan Wynne-Jones being a baby about it.
Yeah, I know, his reaction was so over the top.
Completely. Anyway, not much more to talk about. I don't think we'll be talking, but we'll come back and do a show. Maybe we can do a predictive show. Maybe we can get a sports game and play the whole month. The whole
Well,
week.
you know, if you think I'm bad with predictions, you don't want to see me on those games.
No, but you're
I already
saying-
take number 3.
Anyway, Mark, thanks for coming in, and hopefully this isn't the last weekend of rugby. Hopefully we'll have more clarity, and we'll update everybody on Thursday. And I'm going for a 0 draw the whole rest of the way.
God, I hope I could get that right. 0-0. 6 or 7 games.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, man.